Welcome to this week's episode of High Heels to Happy Feels. I'm Natalie,
I'm Stephanie.
and this week we are going to be talking about the risk of leaving versus the risk of staying. And the reason we kind of got to this is, you know, sometimes walking away from the bad is not about leaving behind something that's bad. It could be something that's perfectly fine. And we've had a lot of energy that has kind of led us to this, including the last 2 days of the daily cards. And this Sturgeon Moon full moon and the Lion's Gate closing and like all of these energies were saying this is the time to change direction. This is the time that this energy is going to be supported. And even when we did our full moon release party, I I did a card pull because I was like, what's the energy of our release party? And I even got the Eight of Cups there, which is very much like a graduation card. Like you've outgrown this. Even if it looks fine from the outside, it no longer feeds your soul. Turn around and walk away. So, um, Steph, I know because it's been such an energy for us, you were kind of looking into the astrology of that, and you want to take us through some of those aspects?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you're right? Because this is something that came up with us even during full moon last week. And of course, we were going to talk about it during our podcast last week, but we had a live with another
Hmm.
podcast that went out this week with the Conscious Radio Network. And so we decided to wait and have this conversation. I'm really glad we did. Because you mentioned the Eight of Cups, but last week, so we had our Sturgeon Moon and that release, and of course you got the Eight of Cups because you got it like twice that day. I mean, it was
Yeah, it
crazy.
was it was really gonna be popping up for us.
Right. It was like, okay, done, put a fork in it, right? And August 16th, so we'll talk a little bit about today here in a second, but if you look back at this week, on the 11th, we Mercury stationed direct in again and left retrograde. We're like,
Thank goodness. Boy, was that a tough. I mean, like I have not. Of course, we're going to blame Mercury because, because
right?
we're in a retrograde, but there was a lot going on with that.
There was, and it was the strangest thing because normally it's like, well, it's the stars, and once in a while they reverse, and you got it. Well, they give that appearance of reversing, and you got to give it grace and whatever. But I don't normally bandwagon quite as hard as I did this last one. And this last one, every comment we got from members or from other community people that we work with, other people in the field, they're just like, oh yeah, this one has sucked. I mean, technology after glitch after glitch after glitch. I'm like, when is this done? So now as it's stationed direct in Leo, it's it's grounding, right? That safety though can become silence, and that silence can be another word for stuck. So we got to think about that.
Mm.
We closed the Lionsgate portal, and we talked a lot about that last week. And there's a blog we wrote last year during Lionsgate portal, and that's a different kind of energy when things open up for that shift, and that really starts the end of July and goes till the middle of August. But there's really powerful moments. In August 8th, that was at its peak, and then it closed on the 12th. So we're kind of wrapping up that cycle. And what's that mean? Well, then we had the moon in Taurus the last few days, where we've just shifted into Gemini a few hours ago. And that is where your fear, because Taurus loves the energy of safety and
Right.
security, routine, right? What's familiar. So it says, why risk it? Things are just fine the way they are. And yeah, so that's a big part of it. Um, the moon in Gemini then is going to bring the curiosity, and that's where we start overthinking, and we start letting the four fears really creep into those conversations, and we'll talk about those in just a little bit. But today we have just a fun little astronomical one happening at the same time, because the moon is going to pass in front of Pleiades, which is also known as the Seven Sisters. And so these are a cluster of stars. They are actually in Taurus. But for a few minutes, the moon is going to block out this little cluster of seven. We can generally see around six, but that cluster is visible to us here on Earth. And so when you see that, it's just like, okay, That's awesome. And the stars are all going over that. But at the same time, it's hide and seek, right? Because everything is hidden for a moment and then it's revealed again. And so what is that going to tell you today as you're looking at things and saying, all right, it's hidden, but you need to let it go. It doesn't feed your soul. It's time to get past that and everything's wide open. I can see again. I see clearly, right?
Yeah, so much of the stars are supporting the energy of everything. And even in conversations we have with our community, conversations we have with others, conversations we have at corporate, like we're in an area of change and we're starting to come out of it. I mean, this is still a very valid conversation, but we are definitely starting to come out, like getting ready for the dark months, getting ready to pull the root vegetables and, take those bulbs and care for them and, get ready for the dark
Harvest.
months.
Right.
Right. So as we start moving into that, we're going to start moving away from that. You're always able to shift, but the energy that is supporting us to shift is starting to to wane a little bit, for a lack of a better word. But let's talk about those fears that you brought up, because this is so common for everybody, and we talk about it in community. Like I said, we talk about this all the time because people are always wanting to grow, or they have plans, or they want to do this, or they want to do that. But lots of people don't move.
Right.
Yeah. So tell me a couple of the fears.
Well, okay. So the first one that I would say is just the fear of instability. We are we are so stuck in a supportment, what if I can't do this? What if I can't support myself? What if I can't support the people around me? What if
That is a good one. That one hangs me up all of the
big
time.
time, big time. We are so accustomed to being stable and not living outside of our comfort zone at all. And I know what this is all saying to me, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm working on cutting that cord. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But it's scary as hell. It's so scary because you're like, oh my God, what if I don't have that much money coming in? Okay, so what can you shift, right? Because the reality check with this is staying stuck is only going to bring more instability because you're declining your joy, you're shrinking the opportunities to really grow, and then you're burning out in what you actually are doing today. And
Yeah.
you're and
And
then all you're doing is getting in your headspace because all you're doing is focusing on stability, stability, stability. Well, big deal. There have been times in your life when you were unstable before. And I don't mean, nutso unstable. I mean, and that's not a very politically correct word, but you know what I mean. And
right.
where you go off the rails on things, but it means you went and you left college and you started adulthood, or you left home and started working and got an apartment. You weren't stable. You took a risk. You're like, woohoo, I'm free. I'm ready to go do this and this and this. And you lived way beneath your means and you were happy. Happy
Well,
to,
I think that's why everybody looks back at their high school and their college years as their free years,
right,
because because there was nothing but fear. And so you
right,
didn't fear it.
right.
Like
And
you just did.
you just did. You were like, okay, that sounds great. Yeah, we're gonna go cliff diving. Sounds like a blast. You're gonna go do this. That sounds like fun. Oh, we're gonna go and now we're like, no, I gotta work. I gotta work. I've got to do this. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to. It's like, yeah, but why do we have those bills? You made a choice. I mean, could you sell that car and get something
Right.
smaller, more
Well,
economical?
we live up to our programming.
Exactly. We live up to the status quo and we're so busy keeping up with the Joneses and what we think society has put on us and what we're supposed to do that we get that stability mindset and it all comes with a price tag. And that price tag is your happiness and your
Can
joy.
you say shadow work?
Oh God, there it is, right? Shadow
Right.
work. Another one I'll throw at you here is fear of judgment
Oh, yeah, that's a good
because
one.
that comes with that instability, right? If you think this looks unstable, well, then you've got the judgment that goes with it. How are people going to look at me if I do this? If I leave a relationship I've been in for decades, if you leave a job or a career that you've been in for decades, if you pick up and move from, one beautifully wonderful metropolitan city out to rural America where it's very, very, very isolated, are people going to just judge you? Who cares?
Right.
Their
Yeah,
opinions are
absolutely. Who cares?
none of your business. None. The only voice that matters is your own.
Yep. That's absolutely right.
But it's a hard pill to swallow.
It is. And those are really big. Like, well, all of the ones we're talking about are really big ones. These
Yeah.
are like showstoppers, heart stoppers, things that stop you in your tracks and actually keep you from living your soul. So that's why we're talking about them.
Mm-hmm.
One that I would bring up is fear of regret
Oh God.
because you do it and or you think about it and you're like, what if that's the wrong move? What if I make the wrong move? And then just like, things disappear, things come back. Everything, regret is going to be temporary. Everything that's going to be aligned to you is going to stay. But the fear of acting on it because you're afraid that you might be making the wrong move, it's horrifying.
Very,
Yeah.
very.
And then the other one is the fear of being unprepared.
Oh
I
God.
mean, I live in all four of these.
Oh my
Oh,
God, but that is my giant one, right? Well, I mean, they're all encapsulated
yeah.
because
And they really are.
they all feed on each other. They do. And what's fear really stand for? False evidence appearing real.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like that. I think I might write that down.
But it's true.
Evidence
It's
appearing.
I mean, it's an old acronym. I hear it and I have to go look it up once in a while, but it's false evidence appearing real. And we've turned these things into real obstacles for ourselves. And when you sit there and say, I'm unprepared, I'm not ready. Well, when will you be ready? It's like I don't have enough money. I can't do this yet. How much is enough?
It reminds me of the CEO of Virgin. I can't remember his name.
Richard Branson.
Yeah, so
Love
he's
him.
like a person who lives on the edge. And I remember he was doing an interview, and this was years ago, but he said, whatever job that's getting offered to you, even if you don't know how to do it, you take it because you do it and you learn to do it. It's
Yeah,
not about knowing everything in advance. And that he lives from a non-fear aspect. I think he's a great example of challenging these fears.
I agree. He's a beautiful example because there's nothing that man fears. He'll try it all. And that's the example that we want to live by because I even think about our own members who have struggled with this, how we struggle with it, how people we've worked with in other jobs have struggled with it. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, but you will.
Right.
And then you won't know something else. There will always be somebody smarter in the room at a task. There will always be someone that has more money. There will always be this. So as soon as you let go of that, then it's just sitting with the moment and going, okay, all right. And yeah, and I'm going to be writing these four fears down, sticking them on a sticky note and putting them in somewhere in front of me because that fear of being unprepared, that I'm not ready yet, I'm never going to get past that one. I don't know how I'm going to work past that one.
Well, and yeah, you just walk through all of them. Like everything that we go through, all of the conversations we have about our own fears and how we are stepping forward and how we're shining lights and shadow areas. But it always boils down to the fear of instability and the fear of, well, judgment, I don't think bothers us so much 2 years into our journey together.
Right.
Well, we've had many years of journey together, but 2 years into this
Into the
journey,
business, right?
right, right. And then, so yeah, really all of them play such a huge role in who we are and how we prepare ourselves for our days too.
It
So
is.
let's,
That's a really good example though, Nat, because you brought up when you were here and we were working on some of our other programs this last weekend. Um, we were talking about when we started the business 2 years ago, and it's been a little over 2 years now. And it was like, why, what was our conversation that we just jumped on, registered the LLC, did this? I mean, it was just like, it was a spur of the moment. We're together. And then it was business names. And then it was just like, yeah, go. And it's really funny when you look back at it because we had zero fear about it. None. We didn't know
right.
what we were going to do. for 100%. We knew what we thought we wanted to do,
Well, right.
and we've
We
shifted.
had ideas about what we were gonna do.
Right. And we've shifted and gone, okay, where's our focus really? And what do we really love? And what was our message 2 years ago? And then it was like, wait, what were we thinking 2 years ago? Were we mad? And so, but we took fear out of the equation in those 5 hot days, whatever they were, that we just said, okay, here's the LLC. Okay, here's our website. Okay, here's the blah, blah, blah. And we just ran with it and we totally bulldozed over all of it.
Yeah.
And we need those moments more often.
Right. Well, when you're when you know too much, you start getting in your own way, or at least you think you know too much, but yeah.
Right? I guess that is, and that's a lot of it. So yeah, keep going. Keep talking.
Well, just the energy that we're going to be going through over the next few days. So we have like the moon is moving into Gemini, and then after Gemini, it's moving into Cancer. And Cancer is all about, the decisions of your heart. And so that's where our fears can really, like we bring all of the things home. Um, but so it's just a really good time to take a look on the inside and navigate some of the steps that we're going to give you over the next few days and see if you can get these fears kind of behind you or at least understand them in a different way so you can navigate that risk, that fear, that self-judgment, that however that looks for you. Hopefully these steps are going to help you navigate and get through it. Because really, on the other side of fear is your best life, living your soul.
Yes. Happiness, joy.
Yeah, happiness. So since I've pushed us directly into steps, all
Okay, so I'll go with the first one that we had talked about, which is
right.
anchor your why. And I know it's a very old for anybody who's ever done sales,
Yep, yep,
in
yep.
any capacity, start with why. There's so many books about it. But what's your why? And it could be very simple, like I hate my job. It could be very complex, like I need to spend more time with supporting my family or aging parents or something, and really figuring out a whole different shift, which requires maybe a move and some other things. But you start with that why.
Yep.
And that is the big, like in the pit of your stomach, the reason you're ready to go. And then you read it every single day. Sticky note it next to your bed so you see it when you wake up, or on your bathroom mirror, or if you're lucky enough to work at home, like we do, on your desk, wherever you need to. But right now, Mercury direct is giving us that clarity. Leo's giving us that fire. And it's a really good time to be reading that and reminding yourself of why it's important, because a list is a powerful thing and it helps you give direction, because as you continue to do something, it becomes you're manifesting it,
Well,
right?
yeah, you're giving your passion the voice. You're
Yes,
saying, what do I really want? And you're putting it on paper and you're giving it a voice, and that gives you clarity.
absolutely.
A,
Do you
a good one that
remember
follows, huh?
thinking about that? Do you remember when you and I were living in Colorado Springs, and
Mhm.
we were very much into our Wicca and stuff at this time? This was the early 90s, mid 90s. And I wanted to move up to Steamboat. Do you remember that list I created that hung on the back of my bedroom door?
Yep, I do. I do.
And I was like, I mean, I knew it. I was supposed to go there. I'd seen a storm. I knew it. It was in my heart. I'm like, I gotta go there. And I just burned through that list until I moved. It was the
Yep.
craziest
You,
thing. And you think about that and go, wow, that was 30, almost exactly 30 years ago. Maybe I need a new list.
yeah. You know what? I was parallel.
Yeah, right? You were doing kind of a similar thing. So yeah, all right.
Yeah, no, that's a really good list gives you a lot of, yeah.
Direction.
Yeah, it gives you support. It gives you clarity. It keeps it in front of you,
Yeah,
allowing you to plan around it. But that moves right into another step that Steph and I came up with, and that is building your safety net.
it can.
So, as part of that list, as part of your why, you can create your baseline of support, your whether that be savings or allies or whatever steps give you stability as you're creating, as you're moving, as you're defining this path, as you're overcoming that fear, um, it is the next step as part of navigating that risk.
Big time.
Yeah. And we just come out of Taurus, the Taurus moon, so we kind of still have that grounding, planning, earthy tone that can help us kind of get through that step right now.
And I think it goes along with where the moon is headed into Cancer too, with the home and hearth kind of theory around it. When you're putting stability, the first thing you think of is home and family in one capacity or another, right? Everybody
Right.
has different family experiences, but you have sometimes your friends are your family, sometimes your pets are your family, but you've got this heart space. And what does it feel like to be stable in that environment? And stable doesn't mean overwhelmingly loaded or rich or that you've got enough to spend for 5 years. I mean, if you can pull that off, more power to you, right?
Yeah, but what feels safe?
But what is the
Right.
bare bones minimum that makes you feel secure enough to take that step?
Or
Yeah,
to be living in that step.
right. And then the next thing beyond that, and so your third step would be those micro moves, right? Mini moves.
Mhm.
That's where those lists come in so freaking handy because they can be little things like you could literally list out every credit card or every bill, and then you're crossing it off, right? Paid that one off, paid that one off, because that works towards number two, which was your stability. And so if you're taking those little mini steps, if you're doing whether it's sales or whether you're doing spiritual work like we do, and you're taking one new client a day or one new client a week or one new a month, or you're doing something like I'm going to create my website, I'm going to step into this, or you're taking one day of just shadow work where you're sitting in reflection and figuring things out, or you're even doing a trial run, right? You're playing with it and experimenting with what does this right now alternate reality look like, because that will be your new reality. But doing those and taking those little mini steps, those micro moves, gives you an opportunity to cross things off and to see progress happening. And I think that moves on into the next one, right?
Yeah, which I was just thinking about, like, even if you want to be a marathon runner,
Yeah.
like the micro steps it takes to be a marathon runner. Like, you
And
got to
that's a
start
great
walking.
example because you can't just go out and run 26.2, folks.
You've got to take micro steps. You have to do micro moves that are going to put you on a good path, on a healthy path to be able to run a marathon.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, yeah. So the next one is really ritualizing the shift. So light a candle or a journal or speak to your guides or do something that marks the moment, that makes it real, that makes it like this is not cosplay, this is your life. We
It's
are,
like celebrating it.
yeah, we're not creating lists to create lists. We're not creating lists to check off. We are creating lists to move from this direction to this direction in
Yep.
a specific manner. So
Move the
ritualize
needle.
it and celebrate it. Absolutely.
Yep, you're moving the needle. And I think about this from a weight loss perspective. When you get a
Mhm.
certain milestone, when you hit those milestones, you want to honor it and celebrate it because, yay, that's a major milestone. You may not be at your end goal yet, but you have hit a spot that it's like, yay, me, I can get a size smaller pair of jeans, right? So if it's those type of things you do, you want to honor that and you want to celebrate that. And there is no better way than to just to put some sort of ritual behind it. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, yeah, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
And we have one more, right?
yeah, there was one more. The choose your no matter what date.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you're
Yep.
I think you've done that for a couple of things that are coming up. So
I have.
talk us through.
I have. So, and I will sit with it sometimes and go, okay, I really need to change that date because I'm not going to make all these other things. That's the fear talking, right? And that those false appearances, no, what did I say it was? False appearances, false evidence appearing real. I had to look it up again. Whatever. Um, but I'm letting my own headspace. So I have a date and I have that date for myself for this step calendared. and have even hinted it uh, in directions, um, very, very vaguely, so that I'm putting it into the universe, so that it's becoming a fact. And so as I look at that, this becomes something for me that is like, okay, here it comes. And I happen to know that this one is really like less than 6 months away now, as I say it. Ugh.
Well, and that's stressful, and you're right, it is fearful, but the thing is you've put it on a real timeline because
I
that's what
have.
we do here in our timeline. Everything is, we have to give ourselves that pressure. We have to give ourselves that this is where it's going to happen because if we don't, we procrastinate it away
Well,
or
you
we
fear it out.
we
Thinking of
just
all
keep
those
letting
things, the
it slide.
regret, the
It becomes the
stabilization.
non-priority.
Yes. All those things that we talked about with the fears. Oh, nope, I'm not quite stable enough yet. I need 2 more months. I need 6 more
Right.
months. How long will you really push that off before then, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're looking at it going, if I'd have only done it then? If. And if is a horrible thing to look back and say. Why would you want to look back and say if when you can say, what if I do this now? What if I set that date? What if I do jump? What will it hurt?
Walking through your fear now allows you to skip the regret later. That is
Oh,
a, and you hear
awesome.
deathbed confessions all of the time about, I wish I would have.
Yep.
We, and all of us have heard that. And we're all like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like when we're little and our parents like, oh, don't grow up so fast. It goes way too fast. And the next thing you know, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, and you're like, wow, my parents didn't lie to me. Neither are the folks that are passing saying, I wish I would have.
Right. And you never see anything on a headstone ever that says, I wish I would have worked harder.
Right. Yeah.
Ever.
Never.
That is
Never.
never anybody's dying regret.
Yeah.
Ever.
So do that no matter what date. And let your fear overcome you. Get scared. It's okay.
Oh, God. So
All
cool.
right.
This
So
is,
we have
I
a
swear this is a giant affirmation for me, but okay, whatever.
I know this week is more about maybe some internal trauma
I,
that
and
Steph and I need to get through.
right? But at the same time, it's everybody.
It
It's
is.
there are so many people we've talked to that are like, but it's not happening, or this isn't happening, and what if it doesn't? And what about, and it's like, so start setting some dates. Start saying it out loud. Start saying, nope, I want this, and this is what is going to happen, and start giving direction and do that. Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. All right. So as we're wrapping up this week's podcast episode, we have just a little reflection prompt for you to work through. The Pleiades thing, I believe, is happening today.
correct.
Okay, so it's going to vanish behind the moon and then it's going to reappear. So this is a really good time to close your eyes and imagine yourself standing under the night sky. You see um, Pleiades glittering, then suddenly the moon covers them, and then there's darkness. Can't see them anymore. And for a minute, you wonder if they're gone. So now slowly the stars return. There they are. They just need you to trust through the dark, through the fear, through all of those things we've just talked about. So it's like playing peekaboo with with animals or with babies. They learn that trust through watching it happen, and the stars are going to show us that today. So ask yourself, if I were to stay where I am, what does my life look like in 5 years? And if I leave this for a soul-led path, what could it look like in 5 years? And which one makes you feel more alive, even if it scares you, even if it pulls every single one of those fears that Steph and I just went through?
And what if, and what scares you more? Living in the current situation or taking that step?
That's a good one. Getting the pros and cons, like what is the risk of staying versus the risk of leaving and the pros and cons for both of those.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yep. Because if it scares you to think about where you are and being in that situation for even another moment, you have your answer, right? I mean, you know. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, and look at that on timeline too. Even though, yeah, in the moment you are probably fully aware, and I think that's what Stephanie's getting to is you're fully aware whether you want to stay where you're at or not. But even look at it 5 years down the timeline and ask yourself, is this really where I want to be? Yeah, those are really good points.
Yep. That's where those vision boards can come in handy too.
Right.
You know, kind of putting it out there like, all right, here's what I see, here's where it's going. But
Wish maps, vision boards,
yes, the list, all of it.
scripting,
Everybody's got it
yeah,
right. Everyone's got a tool that works. You just got to find that tool and use it to your advantage.
yes.
Use that to your advantage and set those goals and set that date. What is my drop dead line in the sand? I'm done. I'm done. This is it. Yeah. Cool. I think we got everything, right?
I think so. Yeah, our four fears and our five
And
steps, I
those
think is
and
what
the
we wanted to
steps.
cover.
Yep, those were the big ones. We wanted to make sure and share those because that was just like it's been that kind of week for us.
Yes.
Cool. So I'll take us out. A few reminders because we talked about the Eight of Cups and how that really got us to this whole conversation. And your Eight of Cups is not a story about loss. It's that story about building self-trust. So honor that. Mercury is giving you that direct clarity, especially in that fire Leo. The Lion's Gate closing, that sealed the invitation. That sealed it. We have this moon, which is going to hide that little cluster of beautiful stars, the seven sisters, Pleiades, tonight. They don't disappear. They're still there. So it's trust and it's truth. And then it's stepping into that unknown because that is the unknown in those moments as you see the darkness, but you always come back out into the light. So the question for you this week is, will you risk the dark? Are you going to say stay, but stale? Cosmos has already opened the door. All you got to do is make a choice to step through. Open, that door's wide open. So this is the week to do it. Um, I
Lots of support for energy shifts. Yeah.
Yes, huge support for the energy shifts. So, of course, we'll put out for those that have subscribed to our page, the weekly astrology will be out tomorrow for the week ahead. So, if you have not subscribed to immersivespirit.com, please go do that. If you also haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we would love, love, love for you to subscribe and please join our community. We'd love to have you a part of that and a part of these ongoing conversations because we tend to have a lot of them like this.
Yeah, yeah. Heated, not heated, yeah.
Yeah. And we've got
Passionate.
passionate, passionate. And we've got some soul-led living tools coming back out. You know, we have, of course, the free ones, our pillars, which is our soul map kit, which is amazing. And we've had so much uptake. It's been getting great feedback and we're very excited. And that's at immersivespiritliving.com. But we can get you there if you go to Immersive Spirit, we can help you and guide you there because we do have it on its own standalone. But then we are re-releasing our framework of leaving your soul. So that is coming soon. We've made some changes to what we're doing here at Immersive Spirit, and we have two other programs that will follow shortly behind. So we're anxious to share those with you. But I think that's it for now. I will say enjoy the disappearing, reappearing act of the Seven Sisters this evening with the moon playing hide and seek. Is there anything else you want to add, Nat?
I don't think so. Think we got it covered.
Woohoo! All right. So
Woohoo.
from high heels to happy feels, I'm Stephanie
And I'm Natalie.
with Immersive Spirit. Have an amazing week ahead, and we will see you again next week. Bye bye.